Today we'll be changing the alternator on an E46 M3. I was getting a battery light that was constantly lit while driving, which is a typical indication that your alternator is on the way out. Additional symptoms that I received were a bearing noise or an almost whirring sound coming from the engine bay, and it's usually when the internals of the alternator are going bad. Those are the starting points. So putting all these things together, I realized that the alternator was definitely going out. So I'll be showing you how to replace it. The repair will be similar to most BMWs. Typical 3 Series alternator change will be about the same in all cases. What you want to do first is initially remove this piece right here, the air duct. And that leads to your intake. So you want to take these clips out. You just want to gently remove this from the air intake. Next, we can remove this outer piece right here that goes around the engine. This will help us get better access to the belt that we'll need to remove in order to remove the alternator. There's 3 of them in total. Just be careful on the side pieces here not to lose them. This will only typically be found in an E46 M3. Non-M3 should not have this piece here. And now we'll remove these pieces now that we've loosened the fasteners. And they'll just slide right out. With your 10mm, you want to remove the bolt that's holding down the air intake. Remove the sensor that's on the intake mass airflow. It should slide right off. The intake out, if you have small enough hands, you might even be able to get away with just taking it off without removing the fan and all of this assembly area, but I have bigger hands, so I'm going to end up taking the belt off and the fan and the outer shell. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So first things first, what you want to do is remove using a T25 these 2 fasteners. After you remove these 2 torques, there's going to be 2 more at the bottom on each side. Now this one over here, probably the easiest way to get to it is by removing the under panel and getting it to from the bottom. I'm going to try first to get it without having to do that, otherwise I will end up getting it from the bottom. Now with the shield off, you want to remove your fan. So you want to get your special tool, line your nuts up, and break the fan loose. You want to go in the opposite direction of what you normally would for counterclockwise. So you want to be going in a clockwise direction to loosen this. So make sure as you loosen the fan that you get a grip on it occasionally so it doesn't fall all the way down to the bottom, because then that will break your fan. Next, we want to remove the caps for both the tensioner pulley and for this guy right here. So with that, what we do next is remove this guy right here. We want to remove this nut right here. Next, we want to relieve the tension on the belt. Make note of the belt design so that when you take it apart and put it back together, you know how it all goes. Well, I can see that this tensioner here, the pulley itself is pretty worn, so it could probably use a replacing while I'm here. We want to now remove the remaining connections that we can see back here. First one you want to remove is this electrical connector. And then you can see this red cable right here, that's the connection to the back of the alternator. We want to remove it by removing this one bolt right here. With your 17mm socket, you want to remove this bolt back here. So as you can see, that is what you remove. And the connection behind there is simply this electrical connection that goes around the back terminal post. And there you go. Alternator's out. Since taking out the alternator, I concluded that I might as well replace all the idlers in the belt system and replace the belts as well. So I got new belts, Continental. Those are pretty much the same thing as the genuine BMW. Those are the parts you would get if you have an E46 M3. And for the pulleys, I got all ENA, which are the OEM that BMW used. These are the part numbers right here. And the beautiful thing is that you can get them for a fraction of the price. This guy right here is your tensioner that goes above the alternator that has the through bolt. That's the special one right there. This is the tensioner, or the idler I mean, for the alternator side belt system. And this piece right here is actually a unique one in that BMW does not actually sell this part as a replacement for the AC side, which is this is the old part right here. But if you get this part, which I believe goes on several models like the 5 Series and the X5, you can actually get it and pretty much use it full one-to-one. So what you would just, when you get it like this. It comes with this bolt and this back piece. Honestly, all you need to do is just take this part off, and I'll show you guys the difference between this part and that part, which you guys won't notice a difference. To the left is the new part, to the right is the old one. As you can see, there's pretty much no difference. I can stack them on top for you to get an idea. I mean, they're exactly the same OD. Inside is the same, and thickness is just about the same. So it's a no-brainer to get this part over the ones that you see that are replacements from like AutoZone or O'Reilly's. This is a much better quality part, and honestly you get a nice cap which the other parts sometimes cannot support. And all you have to do is just use the old fastener that came off of the car. So that's my recommendation. It's about 19 bucks. So it beats having to buy a whole new tensioner system when you can just buy this guy. Also, one more thing I wanted to make note of. When you remove this guy from the alternator side, just pay attention to the orientation of these guys right here. With your T50 socket, your bolt that you use from your old vehicle, And the new part that I explained earlier, you want to then remount it back onto the tensioner. In this case, this is a mechanical one, and typically, like I said, BMW does not sell the serviceable part, so this is the workaround to get around that. Okay. If you can and you want to, you can torque that down to 20 foot-pounds. Additionally, with the kit that came with this part, the new cap, you can reuse the old one though, it's the same part. Just a little comparison between the remanufactured alternator on the left by Bosch and the one that came off my vehicle, which is probably original, made by Valeo. The one on the left, the casing is Valeo, so you can't really tell the difference, but I believe the internals have been redone by Bosch. And just in case you were curious, the backside. You want to throw the alternator in, and it's going to go right in here. So you want to make sure that it's fitting between these two bolts, and just line her up. Make sure you connect the back of the alternator here with this red cable here, and make sure you connect the electrical connector with the electrical connector here. Alright, electrical connector is on, clip is on. Don't forget this guy right here, that's the nut that goes back of the alternator that fastens the red cable on. Don't lose that. Now we just want to make sure that our bolts are aligned. After a little manipulation, you should be able to line up the bottom bolt of the alternator and have it pass through the first holes and then start threading into the back all the way at the bottom there. Next we want to get this guy right here and put it in through the top hole. It only aligns one way. There's a little nipple. It goes right in, so it should be pretty straightforward once you get it going. You want to torque down your alternator bolts to 31 foot-pounds. This bolt right here is the bottom part that I was telling you about. Torque this to 31 foot-pounds, and also torque this guy right here to 31 foot-pounds. Those are the two bolts that are holding the alternator up in its position. As you can see, I replaced this part nice and tight again. Our electrical pin is on, as well as our electrical connection. FYI, when you put this nut on, make sure that the bolts for the alternator are loose so that you can slip it in between this gap right here. Otherwise, it's going to be too tight and you're going to be hitting the dipstick. Even if you unfasten it, it's still not enough room. So try and do that before you tighten up your bolts completely so you can have a little wiggle room. Putting the final pulley, making sure the orientation is correct. We put it on. It's an 8mm hex bit and you want to torque it down to 28 foot-pounds. Now we torque it down to 28 foot-pounds. All the pulleys are on. And now it's ready to start putting everything back together. That means the belt, the fan, and the battery to start the car back up again and get it back on the road. First belt is on for the alternator side. And the AC side is on as well. Now we want to put the fan back together along with the shroud and all the supporting pieces. What we just did was put the two top pieces here, these Torx bolts, and there's going to be two more at the bottom that we're going to get at from the bottom of the car. What's left is to put this guy on here, the outer cowl, and the intake, and we're all done. Sliding the air intake back in, make sure you align it with a duct over there, the two alignment holes right here, and this guy right here. Grab your 10mm and start running these fasteners in. Don't forget the sensor. And that's it. All that's left is to put the under panel on underneath the car, and we are done. Now hopefully your car should be operational, your battery light should be off of your dash, and you can get back to enjoying your car.